Fujifilm Finepix Classic undersell. How are the pics? They're fine. S3 Pro, announced in 2004, released late 2004 to early 2005, depending on the market. I shot weddings on the S2 Pro very briefly in 2004, but I was pretty new at it. Soon after that, settled on Canon. I didn't even remember which Fuji that was until last year, when Jerry-Rigged Media loaned me an S2 Pro. Then the pieces started to click into place. The S3 Pro is built around the Nikon F80 or N80 film camera chassis with Fujifilm's own body, sensor, electronics. It is very physically similar to the S2 Pro, which shares the same F80, N80 heritage. That's pretty weird, but you know, that kind of stuff happened in the early days of Pro Digital. I'll save you the trouble. This is how I'm shooting video through the viewfinder. Why I'm shooting video through the viewfinder is because my eyes are screwed up. And my eyes are screwed up because of optical viewfinders. All other video, what you grizzled old cigar-chomping Hollywood producers out there might call B-roll, is being shot on my nice, safe, electronic viewfindered Canon R5, which, despite my affinity for old DSLRs, I love anyway. I love my R5. That feels like some kind of a shameful admission. Anyway, it is well on its way to becoming a classic old camera itself, which does somehow make it more lovable, and I feel a little bit more free to roll my eyes at all the much newer cameras, which remove even more of the pain points of shooting, leaving the photographer or videographer as little more than a facilitator of technological whims. Understand, though, that I understand that that's not what's really happening. I just tend to have that natural, visceral reaction when ease is so heavily prioritized. Be incredibly lazy and achieve stuff without earning it. But it's fine. I'm not nearly as bitter about it as I sound. But that is certainly where my love of old DSLRs comes from. That and nostalgia. And a desire to have fun. I can't have fun by just standing there while a camera identifies a pre-registered face or action and tracks someone's eyeball all around the screen in real time, pre-shooting before I've even pressed the button. I'm not saying a modern camera doesn't have a practical purpose. Of course it does. And I'm grateful for the abilities we gain from technology, even camera technology. But let's be clear, it's not fun, feels soulless. An absolute reflection of modernity that I despise. This might just be old man speak, but when technology gets too good, really beautiful experiences get lost. Okay, confirmed, that's definitely old man speak. The S3 Pro is great. I'm heavily engaged in the process, in the act of photo creation. Also, the reality is I can't go anywhere interesting. I'm in the same locations over and over and over. How can I make it different each time? Well, cycling through some favorite old cameras, that's one way. It literally is different each time. Thank you, Jerry-Rigged Media, for loaning me the S3 Pro. Shooting the S2 Pro last year, I couldn't decide whether or not I liked that it ran on AA's. Well, now I'm sure I don't like it. And as for my R5, I'm powering that via these nifty LLano batteries, which you can charge directly via USB-C. They have a charge level indicator on the battery, but these came with this portable charging case with an internal battery. I received the charging case with the 2 batteries for free. Thank you, LLano. I'm using it like a power bank here to charge my phone at the same time. I actually own the previous model charging case too. I've been using it for over a year. Sometimes I bring it with me, but more often it stays on my desk because at some point it just became my desk charger so that I wouldn't have to crawl around trying to reach an outlet. I just leave it plugged in all the time via USB-C. The new model also has a built-in SD card reader. Links to the new models with and without batteries in the description with 25% discount codes. There are versions for Sony, Nikon, and Fuji as well. Everything so far has been JPEG straight out of camera with film simulation 2, minus some slight retouching, mostly to get rid of sensor spots. Camera bodies float in and out of my life sometimes, and not every one of them is going to be my favorite, obviously. The Canon 1D or possibly 1DS Mark II are my favorites. 5D is pretty great as well. I may have a new one to add to that list soon, but I would be remiss, and believe me, I hate being remiss, if I didn't report that the S3 Pro does indeed have some special magic. Especially with JPEGs. Film Simulation 2 looks great. The colors are bold. I dig them very much. The raw files also look great. Although I didn't shoot any raw files in this video, I shot quite a few just on my own. Skin tones look great. Again, no evidence of that has been presented here, but I've been shooting this camera for weeks, maybe a month leading up to this. I got in lots of time with it. Considering how large the autofocus points are, it is very accurate, even focusing on eyeballs. Not perfect, but really good. And of course, some of that imperfection probably comes from the lens or settings. It may well be perfect for all I know. It's really good though, is the point. And that's it. There will be no more JPEG shot with Film Simulation 2 or F2, according to the camera. Now we're going to look at Standard or STD. You know, there are really interesting technological and historical details about this camera that one could mention. I did a bunch of reading, both now and back when I shot the S2 Pro last year. And it's not that I don't care, I do care. I find it all very interesting to read about, but I don't find it super interesting to talk about. I'd rather leave that for someone else and just speak from my own experience. And actually, I think that's the highest compliment I can give. I pick it up, I have an immediate feeling of whether or not this thing is fun to use. I'm not saying I make a snap judgment, but I do get an immediate feeling. But I also understand that sometimes I have to warm up to something. The Nikon D2X, for example, when I picked it up for the first time, I certainly thought, now there's a very professionally made camera body, but was it fun? I mean, it certainly was by the end of the video I was making about it. I was impressed by what it could do, the images themselves, but initially a couple of things maybe got in the way of my enjoying the camera, largely related to my perspective of being a Canon shooter, and Nikon controls, and especially the light meter, feeling backwards to me. But I knew that going in, so I adjusted my expectations accordingly. I didn't let myself get very thrown by it. In fact, that's a big part of why I want to explore Nikon. I want to rewire my brain a bit, gain a more global perspective. Anyway, no such period of warming up was required with the S3 Pro. There was an immediate, yes, I love this. Possibly momentum from having shot the S2 Pro last year. I actually don't remember my initial thoughts of the S2 Pro. I'm assuming I loved it right away. I very clearly remember that by the end I loved it. I wanted to own one, which now I do, thanks also for that, jerry-rigged media. I do need to find a battery tray for it though. Standard here giving us very bold colors, in my opinion. So don't like the video, don't subscribe. Instead call your mother. Or your father, grandparents, whatever you got. The horizon here is not very level. Oops. No surprise, the S3 Pro does not feel as solid, as pro, as the Nikon D2X. But it is instantly more fun to me. Also, I enjoy the results quite a bit more with the S3 Pro. I think the JPEGs look great, and I shot these in standard. Not that I'm saying the results are better, the images are better than the D2X. Better isn't really even a consideration for me. I wouldn't even know how to quantify that. What's better, what's worse, I don't know. But the S3 Pro images are more fun than the D2X. The experience is more fun, I guess. Well, it depends on what you think of as fun. The D2X is more fun if you want to be impressed by a well-made precision tool. The S3 Pro is more fun in an original Canon 5D, oh, this is kind of like shooting a film camera sort of way. Would I recommend this camera for sports, wildlife, wedding photography? Of course I wouldn't. Could you use it for all that stuff anyway? Of course you could. Should you buy the S3 Pro in 2026? Well, currently you kind of have to. You can't very well buy it in 2025 because that year has already ended. Though if you wait a while, you'll be forced into the position of having to consider whether or not this camera is good enough in 2027. Then again in 2028. It's going to be like doing your taxes. For the remainder, I'm shooting Film Simulation 1. Does the camera make you want to leave your cozy couch, sacrifice precious time off to go out and shoot? That's the only question that means anything to me. And a loud, resounding yes is my response. There is one disappointment I have. To really get to the heart of my feelings for a camera, I ask myself, if I could only own one camera, and this were the one, not would it be good enough, but rather, what would I have to give up? And in this case, I'd have to give up RAW plus JPEG. The S3 Pro does not support simultaneous RAW plus JPEG, so today I'm having a lot of fun with JPEGs, but if this were my only camera, I'd probably shoot it in RAW only most of the time, and that would be a shame, because I'm really digging Film Simulation 1 as well. Bravo Fujifilm, all 3 color profiles look great, and none of them look like they're trying too hard. When you read a bit about what's going on behind the scenes as you're shooting JPEGs, and you have some understanding of the extreme limitations of the technology at the time, it's completely understandable that you can't shoot RAW plus JPEG, but still, that doesn't help. If I owned it though, not as my one and only camera, I would keep it in heavy rotation, I feel, and I would shoot JPEGs because I love the JPEGs. Would this be my first choice though if I could only own one camera? No. I'd be more drawn to a camera that gives me great JPEGs while also giving me a RAW file. That would be a little more suitable for my specific needs. For what I'm shooting today, JPEG only is completely fine, but when it comes to documenting my life, my family, I do want the RAW files. But I also take great care to get stuff right in camera, so I'd like a finished JPEG as well, without any additional work or steps. Film Simulation 1 is good, Standard was good, but Film Simulation 2 was my favorite. And now I kinda wish I'd gone through them in numerical order to end with my favorite. Oh well. There are some other settings that have a bearing on the look of the images that I didn't play with too much. There was one shot of my cat earlier that looked over-sharpened. That's controllable. I just didn't bother, really. I've been dreaming about owning a 100 megapixel Fuji, GFX, anything in that series of cameras for such a long time. But alas, that's just not going to happen. Maybe in 2039, 20 years after the release, the original GFX 100 used will be in my price range. This is probably silly, but I'm grateful that there is some path available to me right now that allows me to shoot Fuji. Even putting aside the GFX line, I'm super interested in polished-looking, film-adjacent images straight out of camera. And who does that better than Fuji? It's cool. For not very much money at all, I'm getting something exactly like that right now. Well, for zero money, in fact, because I don't own the camera. I'll leave the link to Jerry's YouTube channel. Maybe he'll make a video about the S3 Pro after I get it sent back to him. I'm hoping so. And then again, the LLano battery charger with the discount codes, that'll be linked as well. I'm very, very grateful to LLano and to Jerry and everyone, human being or company, that sends me stuff to keep this all going. Patreon supporters most of all. Because I certainly could not afford to do this otherwise. I only lose money and time making these videos. Being on YouTube has been a weird and wonderful experience, though. It keeps me shooting. I'm afraid if I stopped, then I'd stop. Self-motivating is very difficult. The S3 Pro is rugged, I would say, but not solid. More hollow with a digital brain shoved inside. It reminds one of shooting a film camera in that sense. It produces bold, confident images straight out of camera. But you do feel the technological ceiling pressing in on you. It's not full frame, it's not fast, it's not modern, it's not polished, but it's engaging, and it was absolutely ahead of its time, especially in terms of dynamic range. It's not an infinite roll of film. It will not solve any of your problems, nor will it make you a better photographer. Only you can make you a better photographer. It's old tech filled with old techie goodness, and if you like that stuff, you'll certainly like this. Sure, working photographers have to buy gear that'll help them get the job done more easily, more reliably, but that's the burden of being a working photographer. If you don't have that pressure, you're lucky you can shoot any camera you want. And this one here, she's one of the good ones.